This is my Khorne Chaos Space Marine Berserker Army. It's important we make a difference between Chaos Space Marine and Chaos Demons, because your princes will be nerfed a little bit in the Chaos Space Marine one. But I still like the Berserkers. You know how I have every army laid out, and I explained, and I have every army's details on my iPad to remind me how to use it and all the little tricks I'm using with it. Well, with the Khorne Berserkers, I don't have anything written out because it's so basic. There's nothing about it. There's no psychics, there's no tricks. You load up a bunch of men and in rhinos and you rush the enemy, and that's the end of it. You keep your demon princes bubbled, behind the front line, and you're good. So I can usually take this box with all my berserkers in it, this whole army, maybe grab a couple soupy smaller boxes that I want to attach to this, and I can show up at a tournament and come up with various different armies depending on what I see and what I got to play. So I do very well all the time with the Berserkers. You really can't go wrong with them. So this first army I'm going to show you about, it's a battalion detachment. And if we're using Lord of Wars, I can choose to use this detachment. And it's a headquarters with a demon prince. The demon prince, I make the warlord, because I try to buff the demon princes. As you know, in my other ones, I'm able to buff their strengths up to 1, either by a psychic power or a relic, because I like them to have a strength 8, because they're at a 7, and then I can attack anything on the board. With Khorne, we have a little problem with that. So what you have to do, because they don't get that buff as much, and they don't have psychic powers, but what I do is I make him a warlord, and he gets Slaughterborn. So when an enemy character, monster, or Titanic, and believe me, there's a lot of characters on the board, I usually try to go after them first. And most characters I can find that have toughness 6 and 7. So if I can destroy one, then I can add 1 to my warlord's attacks and strength. But it's the strength I'm looking for. If I can get that strength, then I can go right in and do some damage. Then I give them the relic of Talisman of Burning Blood. And because with Khorne, you always have to be able to succeed in your charges. If you don't succeed in your charges, you're basically just failing. You're giving away a free turn to the opponent. You can't let that happen. That's what you use your command points for, and your demonic icons. So I give the demon prince Talisman of Burning Blood relic, and he can advance and charge in the same turn and re-roll failed charges. So I can get him pretty much into hand-to-hand when I want and as quick as I want. Now with this demon prince that you see here, I do give him the axe. I know Malefic Talons add the 3 attack, and we want to really do 3 attack. But because I like the strength, I give the +1 strength because of this demonic axe. Now the downfall is I have to subtract 1 off my hit roll. So I'm very selective when you do that. If you noticed in my other armies, I always use Malefic Talons. In this one, I will choose either Malefic Talons, which you can see I don't have them set up for that, or the demonic axe. So I can go either way. So what I will choose with the demon prince is, if I give him the demonic axe, then I don't need the +1 strength, so I don't need to give him the warlord trait Slaughterborn. I will give him the exalted champion warlord trait, which just automatically adds 1 to his attack. So he would get might over magic, which automatically moves him to a 5 attack. With the hateful assault, he will get a 6, and with the ultimate champion, he will get a 7. And then the legion trait, I always go world eaters with the berserkers. He gets another attack. So without Malefic Talons, a Khorne demon will have 8 attack, which is very good. And with the demonic axe, the downside is I lose 1 to my hit roll. So now I have to hit on a 3. But the Demon Prince does get his Prince of Chaos, which he can reroll hit rolls of 1 made for Friend, Legion, and Khorne Demon units. So he can reroll 1. So it's still going to be very effective. And then if I choose to go with Malefic Talons, I don't need the Exalted Champion Warlord trait. I go with the Slaughterborn Warlord trait. Give him 1 extra attack. And that 1 strength I'm looking for if I can destroy a character. So with this, he's going to be very effective when he charges. And the whole thing here with Khorne is the ability to strike first, stay protected until you hit first. Now, Khorne, I know people don't like him, he's not worth his money, but they did reduce the points, so I think he's just 100%, 150% worth his medal now. I mean, the stupid Betrayer thing takes away his other ability, Kill, Maim, Burn, but oh well, you don't use that, you know. But when you give Khorne 6 attack and then Hateful Assault, 7 attack, and then he has Blood for the Blood God, that's what you're using him for. He's going to attack 7 times, and then he's going to get a second fight for 7 times. It's just, you can't over-exaggerate the importance of that. I mean, so Khorne in my book is Steel Killer. He's attacking, weapon skill is 2, and the Gore Child always hits on a 2+, regardless of modifiers. It's just, you can't overestimate that. Khorne is still a good figure. I use him in this army. And then, of course, the Khorne Berserkers. Now, I want to remind new players of this, especially. Just because you lose a game or you lose a second one doesn't mean your army sucks. You have to really maneuver properly in strategy. So there are some things that I may go through and go, wow, I went through this whole game and this never came into play. Maybe a relic, a warlord trait, and I'll go forget it, get it out. Or some unit that just didn't do what I intended it to be there for. Okay, get rid of it. But for Berserkers, Demon Prince, Khorne, you have to get these units up into battle, and you have to strike with them first. If you can't do that, something's wrong. So you figure it out how you can do that, and you will succeed if you strike first. Now, the mainstay of the army, Berserkers. The Khorne God number is 8. I always use 8 Berserkers. I have 5 squads of these. 3 of them are going to hold chain axes, because with the chain axe you get that extra +1 to the strength. So you give a Khorne Berserker who has a strength 5, he goes up to a 6. I mean, you're wounding on 3s on a lot of units, or you can really take on some Terminators and wound on 3 with them, and even some tough characters. I mean, you can't overestimate the chain axe on these guys. So Khorne Berserkers on the charge has 2 attack, plus the World Eater's Legion trait, 3 attack, plus the Hateful Assault, 4 attack, and then a Chainsword, 5 attack. You know, times 8 of them, right? You're talking 40 attack. Blood for the Blood God. People misunderstand this sometimes, but on the charge, you make your attack. Now you move into the subsequent fight phase. Now you alternate attacks beginning with your turn, and you can choose 1 unit to attack again. So you choose 1 squad, they make a second attack. That's another 40 attacks. And then he can choose to fight back, and then you can do another squad until each one has fought twice in the fight phase, or has fought again in the fight phase. I mean, Berserkers are still crazy units. That's why I think they haven't really done anything with them in a long time. I mean, they're still good in my book. Now, you remember, most important thing is succeeding in your charges. Like, you just can't fail. Otherwise, you're giving a free turn to the opponent when you're doing nothing. So Icon of Wrath and your command points, you use them for the reroll. Now, other than that, Khorne does have some very good strategies. You know, Veterans of the Long War, Fury of Khorne, and their Legion trait 1, Scorn of Sorcery, which is very effective against Psychers. So they have some good stratagems. So Then I carry them in, of course. Every one of them are on rhinos. Rhinos are pretty durable in the 8th edition. It's great. I may get one rhino. I think I was playing Tau one time. He happened to kill one rhino before I was able to get up the rest there and salt him. He did put wounds on others, but he never destroyed more than one. So the rhinos work good for themselves. And then I always have some points left over. I like giving like a havoc launcher or a combi bolter, because what I find as I'm assaulting on the enemy, he's blocking my path or throwing stuff in front of me or even trying to attack me. Well, the extra shots to soften up a target before I charge is very, very nice. So, and especially with the bolters having the new roll of being doubled, so very nice. And then this battalion is 1,270 points. I bring along, remember this is a Lord of War game that I already know about. I'll have the Khorne Lord of Skulls, 479 points. He's already pre-built. And then we load him out with the Lord of Skulls auxiliary, super heavy auxiliary detachment. Is always load out to the same. I don't change him. He gets the Gore Store cannon. User strength for that is a 10 to start with. Then goes down to an 8, so it's very, very effective against any unit on the board. His Great Cleaver of Khorne is effective, and I like giving him the Hades Gatling gun. This makes him an all-around figure when we're doing Lord of War, going after heavy units and going after squads. And he's right in the fray with all the Berserkers, the Demon Prince. I mean, it's an awesome sight. It'll damn rattle some people seeing this whole army advancing on you and getting into hand-to-hand. And that's my first setup. I don't use this one a lot just because we may not have a Lord of War, or I can come up with some better ones, but I really like it. Now, the second army I will come up with if we have a Lord of War, and it's 2,000 points. And if it's 2,000 points in Lord of Wars, what I've done is I went with full heavy Lord of Wars and kind of nerfed my Chaos Berserker squad. So I don't give him a Demon Prince, but I load up in the Rhinos a Dark Apostle with the Berserkers, because they have that Dark Zealotry. You got to roll for it. And then I give them Soul Terror Portent, which you got to roll for, but I can add one to wound rolls and reroll hit rolls in the fight phase if I get that. I give them the Exalted Champion, reroll and failed wound rolls in the fight phase. And on this one, I give the Relic to the Exalted Champion because I want him to make the charge more than the Apostle, because rerolling failed wound rolls in the fight phase is a must. So he gets Talisman of the Burning Blood, can advance and charge in the same turn, and reroll failed charge rolls. All Berserkers always get Icon of Wrath. And then this one I give a Warpsmith to, because I keep him behind the Lord of Skulls, because I'm a little short on Berserkers here. I only have 3 squads. 2 of them will have the Chain Axe, and 1 of them will have just Chain Swords, and 3 Rhinos. So Lord of Wars are really going to get picked on, so I keep a Warpsmith right behind him and keep healing the Lord of Skulls. So, and then I give him another Lord of War unit, my super heavy detachment, which is the Knight Despoiler and 2 War Dogs. And I do have to change the points on that. Usually I keep it loaded out the same, but because I don't have the points in this one, I have to take my Despoiler and take his rapid fire battle cannon off and just turn it into a thermal cannon, which is not a huge issue in this. Again, he goes out hand to hand and fights like everybody else. So it's a pretty scary army having those 4 Lord of War units and the Berserkers. Or what I like to use the Rhinos to get the Khorne Berserkers into battle. Then I move the Rhinos off to grab objectives, because in 8th edition you can use them to get objectives. Now remember, I bring this one box of Berserkers and I can set up many different armies. I have a 1,500 point army ready to go. I don't have to explain all the tactics. I've already explained it. And what I have is 2 demon princes leading this one. For 1,500 points, 2 demon princes are the best you're going to go with some heavy hitting. And I have 5 squads of the Khorne Berserkers and 5 rhinos. Now on this one, on one squad of my Khorne Berserkers, I do have to take out 1 Berserker. So I don't have an 8-man squad on one of the troops. I just have a 7. But other than that, I still load out my rhinos. I got 1 with a combi bolter. I got 3 with a combi flamer. And 1 havoc launcher. And then to round out my last 140 points, I mean, you can come up with some stuff, maybe some more Berserkers. I don't have any more Berserkers. It's the most I have. And remember, I'll keep reminding you, I am not buying any more Warhammer. I throw in the Helldrake. I don't use it a lot anymore since they got rid of the big blast markers, but it's still pretty good for this army. It can go down, grab objectives real fast on the board. It can get into hand-to-hand, and I do load it out with a Bell Flamer. I think that is better than its guns because it automatically hits with a D6. So that would be the 1,500 point army. Solid 15 point